Hi beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing fantastic today. So as you can tell from the title, this is going to be a rather different video from my normal videos. This is all about the importance of having a cervical screening test or a smear test, and I just wanted to share my own personal experience. If there's any women out there who need to have this done, or in a few years will need to have this done and really want to get a better awareness of what this is, I thought I would share my own personal experience and maybe this will help you. So first of all, I'm going to read what the cervical screening test is, because obviously I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, I'm no form of medical practitioner, so I wanted to share with you an actual medical explanation of what a cervical screening test is before I share my experience, because obviously I can tell you my own personal experience, but I can't, you know, give you a doctor's opinion on what it is, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to go onto the NHS website and just share with you what it says on there. So basically, a cervical screening test, previously known as a smear test, which is what I know it as, is a method of detecting abnormal cells on the cervix. Detecting and removing abnormal cervical cells can prevent cervical cancer. So cervical screening test isn't a test for cancer, it's a test to check the health of the cells in the cervix. Most women's test results come back normal, which mine came back normal, but for around 1 in 20 women, the test shows some abnormal changes in the cells of the cervix. So most of these changes, this is what it says on the website, most of these changes won't lead to cervical cancer, and the cells may go back to normal on their own. So this is one thing that my nurse fretted to me when I had my first cervical smear test. So I'm 27, I've only ever had one smear test, which is when I was 25, and my nurse was like, okay, she talked me through the process, what she was going to do, and then she told me, you know, if the tests come back abnormal, it doesn't necessarily mean that you've got cervical cancer. It just means that your cells have come back abnormal. They just will want to test you further if that is the case. I have a few friends who have experienced this, and none of them have had cervical cancer. It was just I don't know, maybe it was their hormones or just the way that their body is. I really have no idea, but I know that if you ever have a smear test and this is what you get told, and you get a hospital appointment because obviously they want to do further tests just to make sure that everything is okay, it doesn't necessarily mean the worst case scenario. It just could be your body, so please try not to stress about that, because I know it's easier said than done, but it is a normal thing for a lot of women out there. This actually happens. So my own personal experience of a smear test, so I wanted to kind of share with you kind of what it is, and I've got a cotton bud here and I'm not going to do anything, but I just wanted to kind of give you a better understanding. So I went to the doctors when I was 25. You have to have a smear test when you're 25. I personally believe you should be younger. I think you should be 18 or 21. I don't feel like the age should be 25, because there are a lot of women out there that have been, unfortunately, they've missed the signs of cervical cancer because they've not had this test. And although it's not a test for cervical cancer, it can detect cervical cancer. So I do feel that it's important that they lower the age, but that's another argument. So I went to the doctors, booked in my appointment. I was so nervous. I had no idea what to expect. My nurse was wonderful. You can either have a nurse or a doctor. If you feel more comfortable with a woman, then ask for a woman. I had a female nurse because that's what I was more comfortable with. And she basically come in, she spoke through what she was going to do just to relax me, because she could see that I was nervous. And then she was like, now you have to obviously take your underwear off. I wore a skirt and tights, because I thought it would be a lot more comfortable for me to kind of keep my skirt on and obviously take my tights off, so they could do what they needed to do without me feeling so violated. Is that the right word? I'm really not too sure. But I didn't want everything to be all out there, even though it was just me and her. It just felt more comfortable me wearing a skirt that I could just cover over my lap. So that's what I did. So what they do, they lay you down on their bed, and you lift up your legs, and obviously they take something called a swab, and they've got like a plastic thing that looks like a shoehorn that they insert inside you to kind of lift. It's kind of to open your cervix a bit more so they can get in there and take the swab. They use something that looks a bit like a Q-tip or a cotton bud, whatever you call it. And it's much longer than this, but it is similar, the head is similar to that. And they literally, obviously, use what I would call the shoehorn. It's not called that, but there is a medical word for these things. And then they literally just insert the swab and they will scrape your cervix. It's not a pleasant feeling. It's not painful, it's just uncomfortable, because obviously, first of all, you feel a bit uncomfortable having everything all out there, but also because it does feel uncomfortable when they swab your cervix, because you do feel it, but it's not painful. It's not at all painful, but it's just a bit of an odd feeling, if that makes sense. There's nothing scary about it. It is nerve-wracking. I completely understand that you can feel nervous about it, but it really is, it's okay, it's all fine. And what they will do is they'll make sure that you're okay, and they will literally send off your sample to wherever it needs to be tested, and then you'll receive a letter in 2 weeks. I will receive my letter 2 weeks later to say I'm all fine and that I don't need another smear test now until for 3 years. So next year I'll have another smear test, which obviously will do the same thing. But it really is okay, and I cannot stress the importance of you going to the doctors and getting your smear test, because I know it's not a nice situation to be in. I know it's not comfortable. I know that it feels intrusive and you feel kind of violated almost, but it's definitely worth going and getting tested. It's not going to be nice, but it is worth it for your own health reasons. So please, please, please get checked. So I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. I hope you found it useful, and I will see you in a less serious video. Bye, guys.